Hello, my name is Dr. John Sapola. I teach clarinet and saxophone at Western Kentucky University. This is the All-State 2014 KMEA Bass Clarinet Solo. So there are a number of things to think about with this solo, but also in general with the bass clarinet. Um, First of all, this particular instrument is a Selmer privileged bass clarinet, and it is a low C, so it's quite tall, and you'll need a proper chair to sit on it. Otherwise, you may have to end up sitting on a book just so you have it high enough. The angle of these clarinets, these new bass clarinets, is quite pronounced like this, so you do not want to be playing it like this, at an angle like this. So what I tried to do is keep it a little bit under my chair, so it's a little bit at a slight angle like this rather than straight up and down. Some people use neck straps. I don't use one, but if you're standing up ever playing these, that might be helpful. There are a few other tips about bass clarinets that we can talk about. Number one, your embouchure for the bass clarinet has to be much, much looser than the regular B-flat soprano clarinet. So in the B-flat soprano clarinet, we tend to have a higher tongue position, as if you're saying shh. And in the bass clarinet, I find that a lot of my upper chest and throat are involved in the instrument, in the sound production. In other words, it's sort of a resonating down here. So I have a big sort of a feeling when I breathe of more of an open throat here. When I say open throat, please don't misunderstand. I'm not saying to open your throat like that, because that actually does the opposite. It actually tenses it. But as if you were to blow a big breath of air in and then out, and have it going through your throat. That's the sort of emission of the air. Tonguing on the bass clarinet is similar to the B-flat clarinet in that there's two things. Number one, you need a steady stream of air, and number two, you need a light tongue pressure on the reed. But what can be different is that depending on different registers of the bass clarinet, and also different contexts and styles of music, you may find yourself not just using the tip of the tongue, but you might find yourself using a little bit farther back. Another note is that the flexible embouchure needs to be a little bit more flexible than soprano clarinet, and so that might mean I'm not saying to puff your cheeks, but it could mean some flexibility there. So the cheeks may puff a little bit sometimes. Like I said, when I'm playing the bass clarinet, I find that a lot of my upper chest and my throat and my inside my oral cavity are all sort of involved in the sound production, depending on what the register is. It's a lower instrument. It needs a lot more resonance to it. In this particular study, we have some left-hand Cs that are necessary. So depending on the instrument you're playing, you may have to just make sure that the instrument is in good adjustment. Now, one of the things that I notice in many high schools is that sometimes the instruments are not that well adjusted, and so that really can derail your performance. So what I would first of all suggest is go over to a repair person or have your band director work with you to get the instrument in as good a shape as possible. The second thing, I like to use a Selmer C-Star mouthpiece. That's a very good standard mouthpiece. There are also some other very good mouthpieces out in the market. I use actually a Bill Street mouthpiece from a gentleman up in Maine, the state of Maine, who makes custom mouthpieces. But there are some very good ones out there. Clark Phobes is another excellent bass clarinet mouthpiece. But if you want a standard one, Van Doren also makes some good mouthpieces. I use a number 3 Van Doren reed. 2.5 might work also. The sometimes also I'll use a Gonzalez reed, number 3 1/4 strength, or sometimes a number 3. So I try a variety of setups to make sure that whatever the type of music I'm playing on the instrument, I can adapt that. I would advise you to take this one at a tempo that you feel comfortable with. So what I played it at may be too fast, and so you want to make sure you're adhering to the correct rhythms, to the articulations, yet you're still phrasing and getting a good sort of overall arching phrase. Now when I go to my articulated passage, again, you want to have a steady stream of air. And really is what I'm doing, the tip of the tongue on the tip edge of the reed. I hope this is the few tips are helpful here, and it's helpful to hear it played. And I wish you all good luck on your auditions, and please feel free to contact me if you have any questions at all.